I'm Cathy Linz, founder of Gather My Lost Sheep. We're reframing evangelization and leadership with a new lens so that Catholic parishes can rebuild trust, truly heal, and bear fruit. We help Catholic priests who feel overwhelmed, not because they lack faith, but because no one ever trained them to carry their own pain, much less tend to others. I've lived with that kind of pain. I've walked with people who've been hurt. That's why we created trauma-informed parishes, to give leaders the tools they need that reflect both the truth of the gospel and the reality of human suffering. They shouldn't have to figure this out alone. What most people don't realize, trauma disconnects people from God, from community, from themselves. Well-meaning leaders often make it worse, not because they intend to, but because they don't have the tools. Trauma is like CO2. It's invisible, silent, and undetected. And trauma is everywhere. It's in our priests, our parishioners, those who've left the church, and those who arrive in crisis. Without new tools, we try harder, but people quietly disconnect and leave. Trauma is a widespread reality that the church is not equipped for. The numbers you see, that's 70% of adults who have experienced trauma, yet fewer than 2,500 priests and staff have any training. That leaves people unseen and burns out the leaders we depend on. Our goal is that by 2030, every U.S. diocese has a clergy mental health plan, and we will train 10,000 people across 100 dioceses. This leads to human flourishing among clergy and healing in communities. We're starting with $170,000 in year one in U.S. markets. That's just a slice of the 3.6 million serviceable market and a 72 million total addressable market. At a mental health conference, I said, research shows people turn to churches before therapists. A man raised his hand. I did that. Let me tell you how your Jesus people treated me. 90 others nodded. Not one had a good story. I listened and I cried. That moment changed me. I knew I couldn't keep inviting people to the church only to have the church harm them. Evangelization is an invitation, and people are walking away because of how they were treated in pain. Our priests are first responders, ready or not. Our buyers are bishops and priests who are already speaking out about clergy mental health. They know the crisis is here. They're hungry for a better way forward. A diocesan leader said, our seminarians are formed in theology, but not for the emotional burden of ministry. At least 45% of clergy report burnout, rising to 60% for those in their first 5 years. They know there's something missing and they're hungry for new tools. Our leadership framework has formation and integration within parishes and the diocese. We equip those who serve so that those who come encounter safety, mercy, and Christ. Think of it as Good Samaritan training. Healing comes before preaching. We work at the intersection of evangelization, leadership, and trauma-informed principles. Without leadership, there is no structure. Without evangelization, it's just social work. And without trauma tools, we fail to connect. A Dominican friar said to me, Cathy opened my eyes to the prevalence of trauma. She moves beyond theory into real life. He's not the only one to support our work. We've trained hundreds of leaders, spoken at national conferences, published articles, and partnered with dioceses. We're building a movement. We're seeking $250,000 in funding and referrals to dioceses ready to pilot this work. As we expand our media and training outreach, help us form the church so that when individuals come to us in pain, they encounter Christ.